Hi, this is Lana Lisa Williams, aka Survival Woman, and I'm wearing the closest thing to white that I could find in my wardrobe and a nurse's cap that I got on Amazon Prime. Yep, go Jeff Bezos. No wonder you're the richest man in the world. Anyway, today is Monday, April 12, 2021, and I had a hard day. I went to the medical clinic and shopping at Sam's Club and was really missing my husband, Jose, who is in prison. And my birthday is in 5 days, and only one of my 4 children acknowledge I'm alive. They're young adults. Yeah, I'm older than I look. You can guess. Age is but a number. So I just think that a lot of stuff came together today. I was watching on YouTube one of my favorite YouTubers, Jason from New York City, the Angry Prepper, who also does the Angry Truth channel. And he's actually messaged me a few times and liked some of my videos. Yay, Jason, you tell the truth and you're not afraid. And there are a few people who will go against the mainstream media and actually report the truth and actually bring out original ideas that you might think about. I have a master's degree in English from San Diego State University. Almost perfect grades. I graduated summa cum laude, and it could have been magna cum laude, which is the highest of honors, except I had this one English teacher who told us all in advance he was just going to give us C's because he didn't believe in A's. So, yeah. And I minored in history, world history. And I'm telling you, if you don't know world history, you are doomed to repeat it. So you better read a bit, Not just mainstream news either. I also was a journalist for a newspaper in California. And then I went overseas to teach English, and I was a journalist for a Canadian news e-zine called Digital Journal. And I reported on events in Turkey and China and a little bit in Russia. And I wrote 2 books about all that, about being overseas. And I have 5 more books on Amazon that I sell because I'm a writer. And I don't make a lot of money. I don't sell a lot of books. Hey, people today are watching TikTok for a couple of seconds. They don't want to read a whole book. Or they're watching YouTube videos, which, you know what? I'm embracing because it gives us a chance to really talk. And we're not completely censored yet, although I'm sure that's in the works. So the title of my little talk tonight, it is night, it's like, I don't know, almost 10, is it woke or is it broke? This whole woke thing, oh yeah, there, I'm losing my nurse's hat. This whole woke thing, can we trust government? Can we trust a president who's all on the left side and woke and all that? And what is woke anyway? Can we trust these people? What are they woke about? Was Obama woke? Well, if Obama was a woke, why didn't I have a job when he was president? Why did I have to go to Russia in October 2010, right before a long, long Russian winter? And I'm telling you, you never saw a winter unless you were in Russia. Yeah, it gets mighty cold. If all that was so great, why didn't I have a job? And I didn't even come back to America. I spent 5 years in Russia, Turkey, and China teaching English, for which 3 of my 4 children never forgave me. So I couldn't even come back to America. I never had the money, and one thing led to another, and blah, blah. So I came back, and then, wow, Trump became president, and lo and behold, I got the best job of my entire life. Yep. There, I'm losing it. Okay, so now I don't look very credible, sorry. And I was teaching English in a prison full-time with benefits. And yeah, that kind of got me in trouble because I fell in love with one of my students, a prisoner named Jose. And he's my husband, and I love him. And I make no apologies for that. Because honestly, I never really wanted to work in a prison, and 9 months was all I could take. Of having to go through a bunch of gates to work every day and carry a key on my belt, and special ID card and be ready to get searched at any time and metal detectors and watched all the time by cameras and blah, blah. I really did not like that job because I felt sorry for the prisoners. I mean, are they unhuman, non-human or something? And they get really long sentences. You might as well just shoot them instead of put them in prison for 20 years. I mean, or their whole life. In China, they just pretty much get rid of you and use your organs to sell on the market for transplant people. So I didn't really like teaching in a prison, but it was a really good job with good pay. And if it hadn't been for me falling in love with one of my students, which probably takes away some of my credibility right now, I would have stayed there and kept working in a prison. But I got that job under our former President Trump, who caused a lot of division, apparently, and a lot of people hate him, and some people wish he were still there. And I don't know. I don't want to be just put in a category like Democrat, Republican, progressive, leftist, whatever, Trump follower. We are all many things as humans. And do we really deserve to just be put in a certain category, in a certain box? What about those of us who are like, round pegs going into a square hole or the other way around? Do we really always have to fit in some particular place society puts us in? Whatever happened to good old rebellion and questions of authority? Are we just going to trust science? Is that the same science that invented the nuclear bomb, which was released on Hiroshima, Japan, and then Nagasaki, killing hundreds of thousands of people instantly and in the long term, many others, and causing birth defects and total disintegration of these cute little Japanese towns? Was that really necessary? We'd pretty much already won the war. So do we trust science? Even Einstein wrote a letter to the United States government saying, let's don't do the nuclear bomb. He protested against it. He actually had a brain and used it. And you don't have to be Einstein to look around at science and think, hey, we're trusting these people who one day say, wear a mask. No, the next day it's no, wear 2 masks. And then another time it's like, well, maybe the masks aren't that effective. And how do we get COVID anyway? So I taught English for 2 years in China, and I'm pretty sure it was invented in a Chinese lab. I saw some things there. Oh, yeah. Have you been in China? Have you lived under the whole Chinese civilization government not having any money from outside? You're getting paid by the Chinese to teach the Chinese. I taught everything from first grade through college, university levels. And I'm telling you, there are things you can see if you look after 2 years living inside a country. And I lived in Russia for 6 months and Turkey for 2.5 years. And I've lived in England and New Zealand and so on. I've been around, and really you should travel if you want to learn, because there's no experience like firsthand, close up, face-to-face experience. So do we trust the science that they're telling us to trust? Do we just roll up our sleeves? Can't even roll this one up. It's like too tight. Do we just roll up our sleeves and say, hey, yeah, go ahead. Give me the needle. I wouldn't mind if there was some morphine. Kind of a joke there. Because, I don't actually inject morphine into myself. And I haven't had any medicine tonight. No pain medicine, because I'm a good girl. And I only do that once in a while when I have a really bad headache. So do we trust the science? The same science that made the nuclear bomb, that Einstein even protested against. Do you even know that history of how the nuclear bomb was made and who was behind it? Do you even know? Do you know what we unleashed when we did that? And I'm sure you feel what all of us feel, that any minute World War III could erupt and there could be a bomb going off in Los Angeles, is not far from where I live in Central California. And a bomb could go off in New York City, where my friend is, who is the angry prepper. A bomb could go off anytime, any minute. We all kind of live with that hanging behind us. And that's trusting our science. And do we really know where COVID came from? And I'm telling you, I believe it was from a Chinese lab. And I lived in China for 2 years, and I bet you maybe traveled there for a week or two, but you never lived there. Hey, AOC and other people in our government, in the squad, and in Biden's regime, have you ever actually lived in China? Just wondering. Have you actually ever lived anywhere but inside America? Did you actually spend 2.5 years in Turkey, in the quote Middle East, or in Russia? Were you there for a few months, a year to check it out? How do you know anything if you don't travel and see things firsthand? So, should we trust those who have traveled and seen things with their own eyes? We're only human. We all make mistakes. None of us are completely trustworthy. And when I was doing my master's degree, I took a history writing class, and our assignment was to find out how many ships were involved in the Spanish Armada invasion of England in the 1500s. And I had to read big old books that I got from the school library, original books written by Queen Elizabeth I of England and written by French captains, sea captains. So I read in French and English, and I concluded that we would not know. We could not know exactly how many ships were involved in the Spanish Armada that tried to invade England in the 1500s and that were turned away by a big storm that washed many of them off onto the Irish islands. And many sailors died. We can't be sure how many ships were on the English side and on the Spanish side. We just don't know, because history is something that happened outside of a laboratory, and we cannot observe things that happened in the past. That's why evolution is a theory, and ideas about how the world and universe came into existence is a theory. We cannot put those events into a laboratory and observe them with our own eyes while writing notes in a notebook or taking a video. They pass over time. That's why we can't prove if God exists or doesn't exist. There are things we just don't know and things we can observe. So do we trust the science? And do we get the COVID vaccination because they tell us to? I'm a highly allergic person, and I had a vaccine in 2010 that made me so sick I could not lift my head up off the bed for 5 days. And only then, because somehow I managed to get to the health clinic after 2 days, and they put me on strong pain medicines and steroids. Yep, the steroids kind of did it. The pain medicine made me feel a little better. And even after I could climb out of bed, I couldn't even mentally focus myself enough to appeal to the United States government for compensation for my bad effects from the H1N1 flu vaccine. So I never got any money. I could have actually gotten money for that because I had to miss a lot of work. But I was too unfocused to even apply. It tells you how sick I was from it. And, I have been reading the news, and you should read more than one news source. Yeah, read some minor news sources, not just the major ones or the mainstream media, because you know what? They might actually be directed by the people who are in power, by the people in control. Have you thought about who's really in control here? Are we just going to accept that control? Is that what we should do as humans with brains? And here I am wearing a fake nurse's hat to tell you that, but I have a purpose for that. That science can be a beautiful thing, especially medicine. I survived cancer, rare cancer, and I went through 4 months of chemotherapy after a little surgery, and I lost all my hair, even my eyebrows. And you can't really see my eyelashes. I'm not sure they grew back properly. And so medicine helped me survive cancer. Yeah, it can be a great thing. It can take pain away. But if used badly, if you just inject yourself with morphine for the fun of it, it could totally ruin your life and you become an opiate addict and you die with a needle in your arm, maybe. It depends on how we use things. It depends how science is used and who is doing it, who is guiding our thoughts. Do we just take everything we're told as fact? I used to tell my university English students, because I actually started teaching at San Diego State University. That was my first teaching job. I used to tell them, don't believe what I tell you or any professor tells you. Go do the research yourself. I'm pretty sure Einstein would have agreed with that. He didn't just accept the nuclear bomb project because the government said, yeah, it's a good thing. He used his brain and he thought, no, I will oppose it. And a lot of scientists followed his example and signed the letter to the government of America saying, stop the research, never use a nuclear bomb. And here we are. And I lived in Russia. I speak Russian. I'm a little bit Russian. I look Russian. They have a lot of nuclear bombs. So does America. We can all see where that could go. Do we trust science? Do we trust the government of Russia or China or even of our own? Do we trust science? Are we going to do just what someone says because they say it, or will we use our brains and question which way we should go? Dr. Ben Carson today in the news said, Americans, you must stand up. And I didn't read the whole article. He's got a point. Stand up for what you believe. Don't just do something because people say do it. Don't just get a vaccine that could kill you if you have allergies. Or maybe just because you got a bad batch and it hasn't even been completely approved for general use. It's only been approved for emergency use. And technically, you don't even have to take it now. And no one should be able to fire you for not taking it. But that time will come. It's only been a few months, but when it's been around for a while, I'm sure they'll have the whole you take it or you lose your job. And we're going to do vaccine passports. And if you don't have one, you're not shopping at Sam's Club anymore. You're not going to the medical clinic. You're not leaving your home. Maybe we won't even let you live because you're just going to be a hazard in your home, and maybe you'll come out and we'll just shoot you down. We'll just give you injections you won't like, and they for sure are going to take you down. What's going to happen if they give vaccine passports? Already that's being done in Israel, which is ironic because it was an Israeli woman who is a Holocaust survivor who said, the yellow star they gave us as Jews in Hitler's Germany in World War II were a terrible thing. But the COVID passport is worse because it affects more people. It will affect the whole wide world. Are we going to let them do that to us? Are we going to say no? I'm standing up for my rights, and I'm not going to get a passport, and I may not get the shot, the vaccine either, because I'm very allergic, and people have died. If you think they haven't died, go ahead and do the research, and I challenge you, prove me wrong. And I say 4,000 people. That's what I read recently a couple of weeks ago, but it's probably more in the whole wide world. How many do we know have died? Prove me wrong. If you think no one's ever died from the COVID vaccine, go for it. Prove that I'm wrong, but you can't because it's outside of your ability to prove that. And I think it's outside of our ability as Americans to just blindly follow the woke system, the woke dictatorship that is getting people fired from their jobs for what they say or what they write. I'm independently wealthy in my own little way, so go ahead and try to fire me. You won't do it. Is that how it is supposed to be? What happened in Hitler's Germany? Were people killed for what they believed? For disagreeing with their dictator? Were people fired from their jobs before that? Before they were actually killed, shot in the streets. Of course, they were fired from their jobs. Yeah, and they were disgraced and made to be a laughingstock. So if the woke system wants us to just rat out our neighbors and our family and our friends, they're broke. They're not woke. And they're dangerous. And we should say no to censorship. And we should say no to a system that is persecuting people, even killing people for what they believe. Because when we go down that slope, that slippery slope, it's like the atomic bomb. There's no coming back. There's no taking it back again. There's no putting it away. You don't know how far down that rabbit hole you'll go once you start censoring everyone, and then it'll come to you and you'll realize, who is really in control of this planet right now? And a lot of us think it's the Antichrist, like the Bible says. And there's something about in Revelation taking the mark of the beast on your right hand or in your forehead. And hey, we've got the chips to do that right now. Dogs are implanted with ID chips to keep them, tracked in case they go missing without a collar. Of course, they could do that to humans. And should we let them? What if they say you can't go shopping at Sam's Club? You can't live in your house. You can't buy or sell anything. Basically, you're dead. Then do we just say, okay, whatever, I don't want to die? Is it woke or is it broke? Is woke just a term dictators use? I'm sure Hitler had a lot of nice little terms that people bought into. And people didn't stand up to him. And we wonder, how in the hell did those people not stand up to that crazy guy? That's a question we could ask ourselves. How the hell are we letting people get fired for what they say or what they believe? How the hell are we forcing humans to get a vaccine with a needle into their arms when they could be allergic to it and they could be killed by doing it? How the hell do we come off saying COVID was, just something that happened naturally and we're just going to trust the science and, we're all going to just, do what they say, and we should question everything. If you don't question this whole woke thing and the whole dictatorship, you won't be able to think anymore. So I just laid a few little heavy things on you because I've had a kind of hard day driving home in the heat and missing my husband who's in prison I haven't seen in over a year, and thinking about the government and the nice women in Sam's Club offering a free COVID shot. Could have done it right there. But it could have been the last thing I ever did. And so I'm saying I choose not to get it because I got really sick and could have been hospitalized from the H1N1 flu shot. And I have a lot of allergies, including some to eggs. I carry an inhaler with me everywhere I go. And when I'm upset, I can't catch my breath. And honestly, I am exempt by the CDC from wearing a face mask. But I wear one anyway because people yell at me if I don't. Strangers in a gas station near LA. A lady yelled at me from the other side of the gas station. I was outside. She said, "Woman, put on a mask." I'm like, oh, yeah, right. Okay. So we've got the mask Gestapo. Interesting word, Gestapo. Those were Hitler's special police. Nazis, interesting word, that one, controlling everyone around them until the point that they started putting people who disagreed in concentration camps and burning them alive. and gassing them alive. Oh, yeah. So it's dangerous, the path we're going toward. And if we really trust, we should maybe look to a higher source than our own selves and our own government. So this is Lana Lisa Williams after a long, hard day and a lot of thinking, saying, question everything and let us live to fight another day. And by that, I don't mean literally go out and shoot someone, but stand up for what you believe, because you have a mind and a soul and a heart that God gave you. And I personally will trust God before I will trust any science created by humans or anyone in any government. Lana Lisa Williams from California, saying, question everything, think twice before you get a vaccine, and definitely don't go along with the whole vaccine passport thing, because if you do, you might end up like those Jews in the Gestapo times of Hitler, when they got yellow stars and were herded away on trains like cattle to die in camps. Oh, and yeah, the other thing, recently in Canada, a Christian pastor told the Canadian police to leave his church, because they actually came, like 6 of them, to shut down the Christian service. That's happening in Canada. That's happening in America. That's happening all over the world. People are getting arrested for meeting together peacefully. And that really violates human rights, even Canadian human rights. Think about U.S. constitutional human rights, the right to peacefully assemble, the right to free speech. Well, where did free speech go if we're all getting canceled and judged and erased by all that's going on and the censorship? And we have the right to freedom of religion. Do we have to blindly accept the religion of science as determined by the definition that we are given by our government? Are we so blind and stupid? That pastor in Canada, a Christian, said, get out. And those 6 police officers did, and it's on video, and it's one of the most popular videos on YouTube. And that guy got, on TV and all that. I heard also today, I read that in Canada, some Christians were being arrested for taking down a fence that was put around their church. And here in California, our Governor Gavin Newsom, my best friend, who's never once called me about letting my husband out of prison, and I've been doing this for 2.5 years, darling. Our own governor said, you can't sing in church. Oh, by the way, you can't even go inside a church. And don't even meet with your family for Thanksgiving or Christmas. And he went to a fancy French restaurant without a mask, without any social distancing, and he got caught, and we're trying to recall him. So do we trust the government? Do we trust the dictators telling us how to think? A famous man once said, education is not telling someone what to think, but how to think. That kind of doesn't match with what I just said, but I think you get the gist. No one should tell you exactly how you must think. You should have a mind as a human, and a soul and a heart and a body and a choice to say what you want without being censored or canceled or fired or arrested. And if the woke culture encourages that, then they are not woke. They are broke. So a little disjointed tonight because I'm tired. It's been a long, hot day, and I already made one video from Lana Lisa Williams, Survival Woman. Yep, I'm like a nurse. I'm going to do my whole medical thing soon because, my uncle is a doctor, and I studied medicine for a while. Here I'm sounding a little like a Texan because I'm kind of tired. Did used to live in Texas. By the way, good old Texas, I miss you. You have more freedom than California does. What's up with that? We don't have any freedom in California. We all still have to wear masks after a year. And Texas, they've got like so much freedom. In Florida. Hey, I was born in Florida. What's up with that? They have all this freedom going on down there. Is this the same country? So, Annalisa Williams saying, don't be woke because it's broke. And have a nice evening. Goodbye.